So we know that many Canadian and international snowbirds have already left the United States. And I even interviewed a snowbird who is now spending his winters in Spain. And I've also done a video in the past where Canadian snowbirds who used to go to Florida or anywhere on the East Coast are actually now traveling to Victoria, British Columbia. Now, some people might be asking, where are these snowbirds going instead? Well, I have a report that actually shows that a lot of them are just staying home, and they're investing in Canada as well. So I'm going to show you these two reports that were sent to me by our community. And normally we're trying to get data from the United States, which is, we know it's not going to be accurate. But this time around, the data is actually coming from the Canadian real estate industry. So it definitely gives a different perspective. But before I jump into those reports, I do want to show another case of maple washing, this time at No Frills in Coquitlam, British Columbia. The images that you're seeing comes from one of our viewers named Michael. And he took a picture of this farmer's market cucumber, and you can see on the label, it's kind of small, but it says product of Canada. But when you go to the label itself, it clearly says product of USA. Now I urge Michael to actually report it to the CFIA, because the more cases we get, the CFIA can't ignore it. But we all know that this is still happening, and yeah, they are getting fines of like 10,000, but that's pennies when it comes to the big box places. So if we actually want change, we have to start submitting more cases to the CFIA. Because if Canadian citizens don't, this thing is just going to continue on. So if you see any maple washing incidents happening at your local grocery store, I would highly suggest to report it to the CFIA. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is a screenshot from Todd Maffin's video. He made it a lot easier for all of us to report it. So if you do want to report an incident, go to b.link/maplewashing, and it'll go directly to the CFIA form that you need to fill out. And speaking of Todd Maffin, probably about a week ago, I jumped into his live stream. I had a pretty funny interaction with him, and I'm going to show it at the end of this video. If you don't know who Todd Maffin is, he's another Canadian content creator, and to be honest, he's also a big reason why I have my channel. So if you want to see the funny interaction I had with him in his live chat, check it out at the end of this video. Okay, let's get to the first report, which discusses why cottage country is getting a little bit more expensive.
While the snow may still be on the ground, many Manitobans are dreaming of cottage country, but the price of paradise may be becoming a bit more costly. Tonight, a new report from Royal LePage shows recreational property prices are on the rise. CTV's Joseph Bernacki visited the Interlake to find out more.
After 30 years of living in Dunotter, Irene McCaig and her husband Don say it's bittersweet to say goodbye to their piece of paradise.
We've been here since 1996, and it's time to move on and do different things now.
They recently listed their 1,500 square foot Interlake home 3 weeks ago. McCaig says it's already attracting buyers.
Now, the first question I had when I saw this report is who's actually buying these properties? And the second report I have will actually explain it. I mean, this is good for the property owners trying to sell, but if anyone's in the market to buy, it's definitely going to get more expensive. But I'm not going to focus on that. I mean, that's a whole real estate topic that I don't want to get into. But what I do want to focus on is why people are buying in cottage country.
Well, it's relaxing. It's cottage, mostly cottage area, but it's changing into long-term buyers year-round.
And the price buyers are willing to offer may be higher than the couple ever imagined years ago.
Prices have gone up substantially over the years just because of the recreation area.
And a new real estate report from Royal LePage confirms what they've heard. Their 2026 spring recreational property price forecast shows median prices are way up in Manitoba. A single-family home increased 4.6% year over year. And if you're by the waterfront, that median price increased 5.7% compared to last year.
Now, I don't think these prices are going to get as crazy as like Vancouver and Toronto. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a real estate person, so I don't really know. But what I do know is that the demand is there, and the demand is coming from Canadians. And some of those Canadians are actually former snowbirds. And the next report will explain it a little bit more.
On top of this, Interlake realtors say there's been steady demand since the pandemic.
Families are just wanting someplace they can go, relax, and start making their own memories. There's no better place to do it than at the lake.
Karen Mashute sells properties on both sides of Lake Winnipeg. She says it took only days to sell this Fraser Wood property. Mashute says the increase in asking price isn't necessarily scaring buyers away.
Everybody wants to be out here, so it's been a strong market. They're a little surprised at right now what they can get for their cottage.
David Conefall and his wife Corey bought this Dunotter cottage just over a year ago. They say they got in at the right time.
I do a 9-kilometer run every day, and I see the signs go up and I see the signs go down. Nothing's for sale for very long.
We're very happy that we bought a few years ago and not trying to get into this market now.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Dunotter.
Now, I don't know very much about the cottage industry and vacation homes and things like that. It was just never something I grew up with. Many Canadians are deciding, you know what, we're not going to go to the United States anymore, and they're investing at home. And the next report I'm going to show you talks about this specifically. But before I start, I would like to give a shout out to Ian from our Discord server, who posted out this photo of the Richmond Dike in British Columbia. Now, for those of you who don't know my hometown, the Richmond Dike is just south of our Vancouver airport. And technically, you can walk from the airport all the way out to Steveston. I wouldn't recommend it though, because my feet hurt when I did that once. But I'm going to guess that Ian took this photo somewhere along the lines of where that arrow is. I'm just taking a guess based off the dried grass and the water line in the background. But let me know, Ian, if I have this right or not. And thank you for posting it in the Discord server. Okay, let's move on to the next report from the Financial Post. And they talk about the snowbird effect.
Let's just dive into that a little bit more. We know that because of the current geopolitical and economic landscape, that more Canadians are choosing to keep their travel dollars here in Canada. I know that you have said that things may look a little bit challenging on the supply side. Might this change? Might the demand side of things change now?
Absolutely. All of our regions are forecasting for price growth in the year ahead and for an increase in demand. And that is partly, but largely due to so many Canadians, lovingly referred to as snowbirds, who sometimes would spend their winters in the US, choosing to vacation in Canada instead.
So you can see from the caption, snowbirds moving home drive cottage demand, which probably accounts for some of the buyers that are buying in the cottages. So in my opinion, it is unfortunate that prices are going to go up. But at the same time as well, people who used to invest in the United States is now investing in Canada. Oh, the co-host's back. Hi. She's back.
So Royal LePage did some research in the middle of 2025, last summer. We asked Canadians who own properties in the US, in Florida and California and Arizona and the like, if they planned to keep their properties or put them on the market. And more than half actually expressed plans to sell their US properties. And many of them said they were planning to redirect those funds here to Canada. Not only that, but we know that travel, as you mentioned, is down from Canadians to the US. So both in purchase demand as well as rental, we could see a huge spike in demand for recreational properties right across Canada this spring and summer.
So we do know that some snowbirds, some of them are staying in the US, but a lot of them are actually leaving. Some are buying properties in Europe, some are buying properties in Mexico. But there are quite a few that are going to be spending money at home. And where they're not going to be spending their money is Florida, Arizona, and anywhere else in the US. Now, this article that's on the screen right now is about 9 months old. And in the orange guy era, that's equivalent to about 100 years damage. But I want to remind everybody what the snowbirds were saying 9 months ago, because a lot has changed since then. Some snowbirds, like I said, they've gone to Europe, Mexico, other places, and some are staying home now. But the anger was there then, and I'm pretty sure the anger is still there now. I mean, it's probably escalated as well. But I want to read this part to everyone. Many Canadians are rethinking their plans to return to Florida, with some even considering putting their properties on the market. I lived here 6 months. This is my home, but I'm leaving April 2nd, said Susan, a Canadian speaking with the Gulf Coast News. She was not comfortable sharing her last name for fear of becoming a target, amid growing political divide between Canada and the US and Canada. Oh, I did it again. At least I can laugh at it now. For the Pressman family, regular winter residents in Fort Myers, the political landscape has left them regretting their decision to visit Florida. The truth of the matter is, if I hadn't prepaid for everything and wasn't here, and your weather wasn't so damn nice, I'd go home now, said Barry Pressman to the Gulf Coast News. He and his wife, Ruth, have no plans to return next winter. If we travel at all, it won't be here, Ruth said. For sure, it won't be here. We'll go elsewhere. Well, 9 months has passed since this article has been written, and I'm pretty sure the Pressman family is not going to the United States. And I'm sure they're not the only ones either. Now, with the two reports that I showed you earlier, Canadians who have already sold their places in the United States are probably buying up in Canada. But unfortunately, there probably are some Canadians that are still trying to sell their properties. And with the market these days, it's going to be pretty hard. Because in their community, they could be fighting with another 100 units that are trying to sell as well. I've done a previous report on a Canadian who's actually trying to sell their place, and they're not having any luck. So unfortunately, they had to go. But in a situation like this, you got to read the room. And a lot of Canadians read the room early. Some made the decision right after the election, and some even earlier during the Orange guy's first term. But as Dee mentioned in my follow-up interview with him that I had probably about 2 weeks ago, he used to be a snowbird that had property in Arizona and now lives in Spain. And his best advice to any snowbird still trying to sell is just to take the loss. Get out as fast as you can. All right, that's all I got for this video. Before I end this video, I want to show a funny interaction that I had with Todd Maffin. I decided one day to pop into his live stream. Let's just take a look at what happened.
Time, overtime is triple time. That person is our friend Kelly, and she is legitimately a nurse. Guard! Yo, thank you so much, Guard. You didn't have to do that either. Guard the Leaf has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's really solid. So if you guys are also looking for good Canadian people to follow on YouTube, Guard the Leaf is really good. And Guard the Leaf has a Discord as well.
Thanks, Guard.
See, people know Guard the Leaf. Yeah, I don't think Guard the Leaf's ever revealed their identity. You just hear their voice. But it's probably Carney, personally. I think it's actually Carney through a voice box, but you never know.
Pierre Polyev.
Oh, you know what it is? It's Justin.
Justin.
It's Justin.
Well, Todd, I'm definitely not Justin Trudeau. I'm definitely not Pierre Polyev. And I'm definitely not Mark Carney. I'm just a regular Canadian. And to be honest, your channel is one of the reasons why mine exists. And for anyone that might be new to my channel or watching this for the first time, and you're wondering, who is this guy behind the voice? Well, I'm just a regular Canadian like everyone listening right now. I don't have a background in media or content creating or anything. I actually have a background in tech. And to be honest, I'm quite the introvert. You can ask my wife, we're like the polar opposite. But there is a reason why I haven't revealed my identity. Being a content creator, I know most of my videos calling him the orange guy. I'm pretty sure that would not go well for me if I ever needed to go to the United States. I do have family and friends in the United States, and if any emergencies needed to happen, I would still go. I've always said on my channel that if you still go to the United States for family, friends, or those that are close to you, I don't have any problems with that. But obviously, go at your own risk. But me being a public figure, and if I ever had to go in that situation, I don't want to be in a spot where a CBP guard might ask me, hey, I heard you called our president an idiot and that he wears diapers. Well, yeah, it's the truth, isn't it? Like, in a situation like that, it wouldn't go well for me. But aside from that, like I said earlier, I'm an introvert. I really don't, how do I say it? I'm not really good with public interaction. That's what it is. And if my face was out there, I'm sure one day I would be recognized. Maybe not in Malaysia, but in Vancouver, I probably would. But even in Todd's live stream, I was recognized. And I was just replying to somebody say, thanks for the support, but I'm here to support Todd. We're here to focus on the live stream and not me. Well, here's what Todd had to say about that.
Thank you so much, Mercy, for that. That does help. And Guard the Leaf, stop being so fucking Canadian and humble. You support this work, even
you're so great. We'll swear at you.
Even when you're not on the live, just you point people to my videos. It's super helpful, for sure.
And I'll continue to show your videos and point people in your direction as well. So if you haven't checked out any of Todd's videos, I'll leave a link in the description below. And tell him Guard the Leaf sent you. But I can't help but be humble. It's who I am as a Canadian. But just remember, if you do piss off a Canadian, the North does not forget. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you're notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that'll show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.